Hello, everybody. I don't know how this is gonna work because I haven't really done too many of these before. Um, so I I guess I'm just kind of a little bit nervous here. I didn't actually have as much time to prepare as I thought I would. I really yeah, I haven't really had a lot of practice doing lives. So I guess I should get started now if people are here already and commenting and basically want to know what I practice. So I guess the first thing is I could show off some of my tools. And I know a lot of people use candles, but this is what I've actually been using. It's a flashlight, which sounds really, really basic. It's really old, which actually does make a difference rather than like a new one. So I'm going to turn the light off and we can just kind of see how this looks. Okay, no, it doesn't actually show up on the video, which I wasn't sure how well that would work. It doesn't really show too well up on the video. My phone has a better camera, I think, than that. Yeah, it kind of flickers actually. And this is a piece of aluminum foil, which is very low tech, and you can pretty much get them in any store around here. And this one, because it's so cheap and easy to get, I basically just use one for each spirit, and this one is for Astaroth. Oh my gosh, I guess I could just... This is actually the seal I've been using. I don't know if you can even see that. It's the traditional one from the Lesser Key. And I know there's other ones. There's the Varium one. And then there's the one that's just basically a star with two sticks. It's kind of... Is this upside down? This is right side up. Yeah. So that's that. And those, by the way, are the actual tools that I have been using, which people are like, oh my gosh, does that have a lot of energy on it or what? I don't know. Now, this has been like sitting, I'll probably dispose of this today because this has like just been sitting there for who knows how long now. It's actually jelly beans. This is a shell that I painted and I started using it as a dish because I've noticed Astaroth and some of the other spirits I work with show up if I leave offerings, and some of them, like, it actually seems to help them show up. For some spirits it doesn't seem to matter, but for Astaroth, offerings are always like pretty much appreciated. So that's like the really basic tools. Yeah, that's an offering, but like I said, it's been on the altar. It's old. It's not like new. So I'm probably gonna dispose of it after this live. And this is actually, like, people have these fancy circles, but I never did that. I just had like this. Now I don't always use this, but sometimes I just set out like a circle and I just sit in there and I just meditate. No, I've never used belladonna in my rituals. I don't normally use psychoactive substances in general. I don't find that it's necessary. Now, I have done fasting and sleep deprivation, which, let me be honest with you, is way, way stronger than any hallucinogenic drug. Like, seriously, it is seriously dangerous. And as far as this circle, there's nothing really to show because it's basically a piece of rope tied as a circle. But in terms of getting visuals, like, because I don't know if people struggle with seeing spirits or like getting communication with them, but a lot of that is just getting in the right state of mind, getting over your fears, just being, you don't, when you're doing it, you don't really want to be trying to do it. You want to just really be relaxed. Because if you're working hard on it, it actually, it actually doesn't help. So the thing is to be relaxed, like not be scared and just be relaxed. And whatever happens, it's not like, it's not a big deal. Like if you don't see anything, if you don't feel anything, just, even if it's like just really subtle, like just a really subtle feeling that you have, sometimes that's enough. And sometimes, like, if you're doing something and you're like with any of the spirits, if you're doing something and you just don't feel like right about working with that spirit on that particular thing, sometimes it's best to like back off, or like at least not make a request and just kind of just maybe ask for guidance, or maybe just back off if it really doesn't feel right, because I've done that a lot, and actually like not doing it can make things worse. So that's like my really basic ritual tools, but I don't always do like a formal ritual. I've really done a lot with the ends, actually. Oh, the flashlight is used as a source of light, and also when the light's off, sometimes it will flicker, and actually I've had purple orbs a couple times. But sometimes it'll just flicker, and sometimes it will just illuminate the foil a little bit better so I can see things. So it's basically used like a candle, except it doesn't really burn down. But I do have to replace the batteries periodically. The foil is basically your scrying mirror. It replaces like water or a black mirror, or if you were using like a cell phone screen or anything like that. I find, of all the scrying mediums I've used, aluminum foil is the easiest to see things in. And don't worry if you're late, because I think it's recording, and even if it's not, I'll probably do videos where I go over most of this stuff again anyway, so don't worry about missing things. The rope is basically just used as a circle. So I I will admit, this is not high tech. This is very basic. You know, it's very pared down. Like, I started doing it this way, and I never really upgraded my tools. Although I ended up doing a lot of artwork stuff, but I never like actually upgraded my actual working tools. So, and that's not to say that it's bad necessarily to have fancier stuff. It's just not necessary. So don't feel like, oh my gosh, I'm doing it wrong because I didn't spend thousands on tools and I didn't like, you know, get like I don't know, really specific items like calf skin or whatever. But the main things is the symbols are probably the big one. Some kind of light source in order to see something, and some kind of basically thing to scry with. And then if you're doing offerings, which I would recommend for Astaroth, just because she responds so well to that, which doesn't need to be anything big. And yeah, it's definitely not the only way to do things. There's probably better ways to do things. There's probably less effective ways to do things. Like, I know beginners have asked about the Ouija board, and I just say it's, you know, it's not really the most effective form of communication, even as a beginner. It's just not really that effective. You're better off taking the seal, drawing it, just going to bed, and writing down your dreams. You're probably going to have a lot better communication with that than the Ouija board. So no, I've never actually used sigil rings. So the offerings, I'll go over that again. It's basically just candy, and I like to get like the holiday candy, whether that's like the candy hearts like for Valentine's Day, or the jelly beans for Easter, or like pretty much every holiday has like tons of candy, and it doesn't really matter like if it's old. You just set it out because it's just sugar, so it basically just keeps forever. So, but I've done fruit, I've done like little bits of like cookie or dessert or anything. I tend to just offer something sweet. But I mean, that's not the only kind of offering that you can do, but that's just what I've done. And it also can depend on what you're doing too, like if the spirit requests something different, or if you just feel comfortable offering something else. Do you throw offerings away after a while, or can you eat them? Now, normally I compost the offerings, but there have been a few occasions where I've eaten them. Like I said, the default is I just compost it, but there's been a few times where I've consumed them. But normally I just compost them. And yeah, those are good offerings too. So, yeah, Easter. I want to talk about the holiday because typically people think of Easter, but Thanksgiving is kind of the opposite of Easter because it's actually towards the end of fall, and a lot of people don't specifically think of Thanksgiving as like a holiday, but it actually is. but it's like a serious holiday. It's not like it's kind of like Easter, except it's like Easter is, you know, like about the death and resurrection, but Thanksgiving is actually the real holiday about the death and resurrection. And I don't use incense. You can if you want, and people have actually seen the spirit in incense. It's a good medium for people to see spirits in, just in general. And I've seen sometimes when other people use incense or smoke, I've seen spirits in what they are doing. So incense is great. I don't have any personal experience with it, but you know, I think it's excellent. Does anyone have any more questions for me right now? Okay, then I guess I could talk about... Yeah, you said Astaroth is manifest in the incense for me and in the crystal ball. Yeah, she shows up. I mean, that's kind of what she does. She's one of the spirits that, you know, some of them, I don't know. Now, she can actually be called for a lot of things. The thing people often think of is love. And yes, she can get you your ex back, and no, I do not recommend it. But the thing that she's really good for is stepping outside of your circles, and this can be if you want to find a new romantic partner, or you just want to find new friends, or just meet new people. She's very good for that. She's also very good for self-love, so not just loving other people or having other people love you. She's also good for self-love and compassion, and she's also good for healing. So people don't necessarily think of healing, but it's definitely something that she can do and that she can help with. Yeah, she's very multifaceted, and I think the book is kind of just like a limited... the lesser key is like kind of... Well, first of all, there's like the Grimoire Verum and the lesser key, and I want to say the Grimoire Verum is like more powerful, but actually kind of can be overwhelming. And I would say the lesser key is I would say is, you know, easier to work with and is more beginner friendly maybe, or just easier. But the Grimoire Verum version is probably like just comes off as like more powerful, maybe like higher up in the hierarchy or something. Even though they have the same name, I mean they're interrelated, but they're kind of separate too. So, you said I was asked to sign a document at work today saying I would accept a promotion with my base pay for 6 months. Just signed yesterday with the promotion with full pay and didn't ask her to help. So, are you saying like she just helped you out without asking, or that you like wanted to ask for her help? Yeah, not to use the Verum seal. Yeah, it is, you know, it is really, I want to say it's really overpowered. Like, I don't think you should be, like, messing with it, like, for minor things. If you have something really serious going on, then I would say, yeah, go ahead, but there are also, there are also potentially serious consequences too, so it's something you should really think about before venturing into that realm. But I mean, if something serious is really going on, you know, you're not out of options, is what I'm saying. But also, it's not really necessary or recommended for minor things. Yeah, the one in the lesser key is definitely, I would say, more low-key. Now, glamour magic, yeah, I've heard of her being called for glamour magic, and people have had good results with that, so it's something that you could do to make yourself more attractive to people. Now, the other thing I do besides formal rituals is I find the ends to be really, really helpful. And then the missed question, I keep seeing Astarte Ishtar as though she's like a dominatrix. Is that common? And that is actually a very accurate representation of her. But as far as that goes, it's not something I necessarily would recommend to people, because it's, you may think it's fun, but it's not. You know, people, I think a lot of people have these fantasies about that, and it doesn't, it's not, you might think it's fun and it isn't. It's like, you know, the reality doesn't match your fantasies. So, so it's there, but it's not necessarily something that you want to do. Now, does anybody else have any other questions? Because I want to talk a little bit. Oh, favorite spell, ritual or spell of Astarte. I just like sort of getting into a meditative state and just feeling her energy and what she wants to communicate to me. Do you think Ishtar might be an earlier representation of her? Yes, I think they're all a little different, but they're all interrelated. Like, I mean, you and me, we're not the same person, but on another level we are. But for like the gods and goddesses, that's like it's a lot closer for them. So all these deities are interrelated, and that's miss most of the videos. Yeah, it is common. I mean, seeing her as such is not a bad thing to see her as such, but in terms of, you know, actually experiencing that, I want to say it's culturally inappropriate, but that just depends on what, you know, the surrounding culture is, where you live, and who you associate with. So I think that's something you should take into consideration before doing anything like that. Something I didn't take into consideration and I really should have. So I don't think there's like a black and white answer for that. And Marcus Lynn says, I missed most of the video. What was the topic? And I'm basically just talking about my practice, and I'm answering people's questions about how I work with Astaroth or Astarte and some of the experiences that I've had, and just, you know, if people had any questions for me, and I've just been showing some of my tools that I use. I just wanted to talk about ends for a little bit because that's one of my favorite ways of connecting with her, and it's very basic, and they have them on YouTube, and if you don't want to like recite them, you can just listen to them. I used the Tassa Allura or an Astaroth one a lot for a while when I was just trying to get out of my comfort zone. And there's also another one. It's where is it? Serena Aloran Astarte Aachen, which is another one that I have seen. So before I started this video, I was just like, I just listened to it for a while. And people say like do 108, but you can really go into as many as you want. You can listen all day if you want. Just, you know, if you you mean I can't wear a traditional ancient costume to call Ishtar in fear of getting canceled by mainstream occultists? And if you're doing like a personal practice, I wouldn't worry about it, you know. In this group, you can post like pretty much, you know, as long as it's on topic. If you see her as Astarte or Ishtar, or you're more into that more ancient representation of her, and you know, that's very allowed in this group. And I'm not going to say about what other groups do or what other people practice, but I'm actually really interested in how different people practice, and not necessarily that everybody has to practice the same way. So I don't believe that everybody should or could practice the same way, or that it's necessary for everybody to practice the same way. I'm more interested in how people do practice and how it is effective for them or helpful. So that's not to like disparage other groups or other people's way of doing things. So like even what I showed is you don't necessarily have to do it that way. It's just one way that you can do things, one way that you can get started, and it's fairly easy. So did you have any more questions for me? I don't want to be like on here like all night or anything, so I mean we've done almost a half an hour, so I don't know if people just want to just end the live, or maybe just I could maybe recite one of the ends. Oh, how has your interaction with affected your dreaming? Now, I haven't particularly worked with Astaroth too much with the dreams. Some of the other entities I've probably worked more with the dreaming, and I haven't so much with Astaroth, so I don't really have a lot to say on that. But you know, it's definitely something you could do with her, and I've done it with lots of other spirits. The one I most recently did a lot of dream work with was Bune, so So, hi Maurice. So I'm probably going to end this video now, and then hopefully it'll come out good and I'll put it up. And even if it doesn't turn out good, I'll probably cover most of these topics again anyway in videos, so don't worry like that you missed something. Is there a way you concentrate or get into a sort of trance to work with her to receive more messages? Basically the most important thing is to just be relaxed and not be fearful and not try to force things. Yeah, the Astaroth Galatian angle was called into account from Solomon. Yeah, I've seen that one, and I've seen the Varum seal, and I do want to mention another seal that I've seen people use a lot. Oh, where is my sheet of paper here? I've seen this one a lot as well. I haven't personally used it, but there's this one, which is just really, really basic. And I like the fact that it's very easy to memorize that, and it doesn't require like a lot of intricate sort of artwork to do. As opposed to the other seals that are a little bit more elaborate. I think that's a newer one that people have been using. So is there anything else? Oh, do you pray for people? I have in the past done spell work for people. I don't necessarily like pray for people. If it's really important, I will put in energy, work with spirits. And you see, I love watching JS and Barbie's videos before the drama broke off. I wish you could do the same thing on doing rituals live and other informations here or on YouTube. Yes, I actually intend to do more videos. I do have a channel, but it just never, I have like, last I checked it was like 17 subscribers, and like I started it, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to put on the channel when I started it. I will probably revisit that in terms of both promoting the channel and putting up more videos. That's been something I've been thinking about doing, but I kind of took a break from doing videos for a while. Does anybody have any more questions for me? And Steven says, I'll say it again in case you missed it, Astarte, Phoenician, Ishtar, Babylonian, and Inanna, Akkadian origins. So, yeah, those are some of her names or forms or whatever. Will I do a live demonstration later? I'm gonna do one tonight. Because it's actually kind of late for me, and I'm going to get up early tomorrow. So I don't want to overdo anything, but I will probably at some point do a live demonstration. How many books do I have? Now, none of the books on that shelf are actually my esoteric books. Those are actually on another shelf. I actually need to go through my books. Thank you. You're welcome. So, it was really fun, everyone, and I'm going to actually go to bed early tonight just because I have to get up early tonight, and I just don't want to stay up too late. But I will do other lives, and I will do other videos and add them to my YouTube channel. So don't worry, like, if you missed anything. Any recommendations? Just basically get started with what you have, and if you need any ideas, you know, you can always ask questions in the group. You're always welcome to ask questions here. There's lots of different material in this group and different ways people have contacted her. So, good night, everybody. And yeah, read through the books. And you don't have to do things exactly on how the books say, but it definitely gives you ideas and gives you some background. So, reading is always good. So, good night, everybody. Okay.